This video provides a very brief introduction to the concept of a long-run equilibrium in perfectly competitive markets and describes the efficiency of perfectly competitive markets in ideal conditions. In the long run, firms can enter or leave the industry. We're assuming, remember, that there's no barriers to either entry or exit in a perfectly competitive market. If for any reason an industry becomes relatively profitable and a typical firm is making positive profits, that means that the owners of the firm are receiving more than enough revenue to cover all their opportunity costs. And remember, one opportunity cost is how much the owner could have received had they used their time, their labor, and other resources in a different industry. So what this means basically is that by being in this industry, they're doing better than they could in any other occupation. But that also means that the owners of the firms in other industries are not receiving these same economic profits. What that will do is it will cause other firms to enter this market. And as they enter the market supply curve would increase. And we know that as the market supply increases in a market, the equilibrium price falls. And as the price falls, the profits received by a typical firm get smaller. Now, this entry continues until those economic profits disappear. And once economic profit is zero, it means the owners are no longer doing better than the owners of firms in other industries. On the other hand, suppose we start off with a situation where a typical firm is losing money, where there's economic losses. In that case, firms will leave the industry because that means they're not receiving enough revenue to cover all their opportunity costs. In response to that, they realize they'd be better off leaving the industry and perhaps moving to a different industry. As they leave, the market supply falls and the price of the product rises as market supply falls. If you're not sure of that, draw a diagram and you'll be able to see how that works. Firms will continue to leave as long as a typical firm is losing money. Exit will stop only when losses equal zero or profits equal zero. What that should suggest is that in a long-run equilibrium, economic profits will always be zero for a typical firm. Earlier in the course, we talked about two efficiency conditions that under ideal conditions, competitive markets may achieve. The first of those was productive efficiency. We first talked about that in the context of being on the production possibilities frontier. But looked at from another perspective, we have productive efficiency if firms are producing at minimum average cost. But if a typical firm is making zero profits, notice where that firm will produce on its short-run average total cost curve. Profits are zero when the price just equals average total cost, and that will occur right at the minimum point on the average total cost curve. So in a competitive equilibrium, each firm will be producing at the least cost level of output. The other concept of efficiency was allocative efficiency. Allocative efficiency means that we're allocating goods in a way that provides the highest net benefit to society. When we talked about consumer and producer surplus, we noted that the demand curve essentially represented the marginal benefits that consumers receive when they purchase an additional unit of a good. The supply curve we've just seen represents the marginal cost of producing the good. So demand reflects marginal benefit and supply reflects marginal cost. And as long as all the benefits and costs are received by the participants in the market, at the market equilibrium, the demand and supply curves intersect, which means social marginal benefit equals social marginal cost. And we know that when marginal benefit equals marginal cost, the net benefit from the activity is maximized. So what will happen here is we end up with the highest level of possible net benefit at a competitive market equilibrium, as long as all the costs and benefits are received or borne by the participants in the market. We end up with the highest possible level of combined consumer and producer surplus. These are the reasons why economists often talk about the wonders of perfectly competitive markets. Unfortunately, the real world may not always work quite this well, and we'll talk about that in more detail throughout much of the rest of the course.